We're in Matthew chapter 18. Last time we talked about guardian angels, a little bit mysterious. But without transition, Matthew records Jesus telling a parable. I learned when I was in grade school, at Vacation Bible School, if I recall correctly, that a parable is an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. A parable's a metaphor. It's a word picture. This is what Matthew has recorded, and we have it as verse 12. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go to look for the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, I tell you the truth, he is happier about that one sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should be lost. I don't think we... I think not very many people really take the depth of meaning of this deeply into their life and their heart. It's, okay, the lost sheep, what a wonderful parable. Most of us are in the group of 99. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't wander off. And frankly, there are a whole lot of people, from my experience in the church, and I've only been in the church for 71 years, so I don't know everything by any means, but I got some experience on both sides of it, as an attending person and as a leader. And my experience is that there are a whole lot of people in the church that are part of the 99 there are those ones out there. What kind of stupid person would wander out there? I mean, that's just silly. Couldn't you keep up? Didn't you notice? Didn't you hear our gathering? Didn't you? Come on. Nobody wants to admit that. But that's kind of a prevailing attitude in most churches. When you encounter a church that is a church looking for that one, looking for the wanderer, looking for the lost one, if you come from the tradition of the 99, it's going to make you really uncomfortable, because there's going to be ashtrays at the door. There will be people not dressed in their Sunday best. There are going to be men and women who are wildly tattooed. There are the service won't suit you. That's at that point, I think the church has got to decide. Are we just going to stay 99 and be happy with that and say to that one lost out there, tough luck, wouldn't want to be you? That's how I grew up. I don't want to be that. When I was introduced to a church that was looking for that one, and spending resources of every kind to find and draw that one back, changed me. Well, now, there is this idea of the 99 and the one, and what Jesus makes clear is, when the one is found, the owner is more happy than about the 99 that didn't want her away. Okay, stop, pause, and think a minute. Again, I want to make one of the difficulties with parables and interpreting parables is that we can overthink them. So I don't want to do that. But I will have to say, God is not, he hasn't dismissed or disregarded the 99. I mean, they matter, okay? But he is more, what does Jesus say? He says exactly, he is happier about that one sheep than about the 99 that did not want her off. So, to me, it seems clear. The business of the church ought to be finding that one and bringing them back to God. Okay. Now, the last verse of Matthew, Matthew didn't write in verses, you know that, but what we've got is the last verse of this little parable. It connects it to what Jesus had been saying about the little ones, because there's a theme of little ones through here. Unless you become like a child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And then he says, if somebody leads one of these little ones astray, it'd be better for them to have a millstone tied around their neck and be thrown into the sea. And then he talks about the guardian angels, then this lost sheep parable that ends with, in the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should be lost. Now, I don't think Jesus is using hyperbole here. I think he's stating a literal truth. Your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should be lost. In other words, am I wrong in rephrasing that? It is not God's will that any of these little ones should be lost. This is not God's design or desire. If that is true, I'm going to throw a rock in Calvin's direction here. If that is true, explain to me how God could say, he gets in, he doesn't. She gets in, she doesn't. That doesn't make sense to me. Okay. When I think about what was most important to Jesus, well, on a personal level, what was most important to Jesus was fulfilling God's design for his life, his Father's design for his life. And another way to say that is for him to be obedient to his Father's design and desires. And then he was not a Johnny one note when it came to his teachings. He hits on the major issues that all human beings are confronted with. And in verse 15, he starts with something that if you've never had this happen to you, I would love for you to connect with me, email me, respond back in the comments section, because I want to get to know you and I want to understand your story. If your brother sins against you, and he doesn't even say by doing X, Y, or Z. No. If he sins against you, go and show him his fault, just between the two of you. This is a private matter. Now, it's a strong teaching, and I've heard it widely and broadly applied, and rightfully so, that Matthew 18 holds a model for conflict resolution. And, well, okay, I think it does. I think this is a valid and effective model. It starts with, if a brother, and in this context, Jesus is not talking about blood family. He's talking about an associate, a companion. If a companion sins against you, I'll tell you my first reaction. I get all bent out of shape and pouty and mean-spirited toward that person. I'm sorry, I'm weak. But Jesus says, and I don't think he means for this to be, they sin, I instantly think I must go to them. No, but eventually the reason has to return, and you go to that brother, that companion, and you show him his fault just between the two of you. Now, he doesn't say, and here are the words to use. I suppose they're generally words that work and words that don't. I can tell you some that don't. When you go to this person who has sinned against you and you just go to them alone, just the two of you, and you say, you sinned against me, here's what you did. Usually that doesn't work. There are other ways to say it. Now, some people's personality is such that it's just going to come out that way. If I'm the recipient, then I got to have enough humility in my heart and mind to listen to well, it's an accusation. I don't do well with accusations. Most people don't. What if, when you go to this person who has sinned against you, you're not inventing it, you're not making it up, they truly have done, they have created an offense by sinning against you. When you go to them, what if I was to say, when this happens to me, hey, can we get together? I just wonder if we could have, maybe a cup of coffee or a Coke, or maybe just, can we step aside over here? And then I might say something like, I need to share with you that when you did X, Y, or Z, or said X, Y, and Z, that hurt me. I'm not judging you, but that's not right. Okay. The one-on-one done within, the personality and nature that God has granted you, a one-on-one confrontation. I don't believe it always has to be a soft confrontation. I do believe that often a soft confrontation will be more effective than a harsh confrontation, though. One-to-one. Drop back, because we're not going to be able to finish the whole thing, obviously, but there is this point. When they sin against you, this isn't when they disagree with you. This isn't when they say something that you find offensive. No. This isn't relative to my, the judgment of this sin is not relative to my interests and my feelings. It's relative. What makes anything a sin? It breaks with God's design. So we're talking about a less broad thing than you hurt my feelings. Okay, that's enough. Pick it up here next time on So Cared with Stevie.